Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to BSing Sports. With me in person this time is Ryan. With us,
Hey,
as always, is Timmy.
loser.
It's funny that Ryan mentions the whole loser thing. Timmy did awful this week in our little gentleman's bet.
I definitely did.
After talking so much smack on the show, and his mom even said that was going to come back to get him. So thank you, Tanya.
Correct.
It definitely came back and got me, but it's okay. Yours is coming. I ain't worried about
I've
it.
been had some mediocre weeks, so I've been 9-7 every week.
Listen,
Yeah, that's
you're
accurate.
gonna have one week when you go negative. It happens. It happens to the best.
The good thing about this week is Ryan and I predicted the Dolphins to beat the Bills, so we get an additional point as per our bet.
That's fine. We'll make up another one where I'm gonna win.
Okay.
Yeah,
fine.
I mean, if there's one we're as passionate about as we were that Dolphins-Bills game, because, we were very firm in our stances that, maybe we can have something similar. But in order for you guys to know that, you'd have to check out our show on Friday where we do our predictions for week 4. So make sure you tune into that show, 6:15 Eastern time.
Correct. That is an accurate statement. Before we move forward, the music in our intro is brought to you by Orphan Rivers. If you haven't had a chance to check him out on SoundCloud, please go do that.
Good job.
I know, right? I remembered. Amazing artist. He's in the Nashville area right now. I think he might be moving back to California. I don't know anymore. But if you have a chance, check out Orphan Rivers. If you guys can see between Ryan and I, we have new banners made. We were supposed to do a live show at Three Odd Guys Brewing on Thursday at 7 p.m. Unfortunately, Hurricane Ian, much to mine and Ryan's dismay, decided to roll through and destroy our plans for that. So it's just being postponed. Unless they are open on Thursday, we will be at Three Odd Guys Brewing at noon on Sunday afternoon, Sunday at noon. We'll see all you guys smiling faces there.
Yeah, it's still happening. It's just, looking like it's going to be at a later date, unfortunately. But
Correct.
the show must go on.
Freddie Mercury sang that on his deathbed in one shot.
Did he really?
Really? Yeah. Fun facts here at BSing Sports about music.
BSing music. All right. New topic.
All right. So the other thing I want to talk to you guys about is obviously Ryan and Timmy are doing their fantasy football episode tomorrow at 6 p.m. Timmy is playing host on that one, so make sure you guys stop by and give them a listen. There was a lot of engagement last week. We loved it. Moving on to our predictions from last week and how we did. Huge surprise. None of us saw this one coming. The Colts upset the Chiefs. Timmy, go.
I had a feeling about this going into Sunday, and it wasn't sitting with me when I picked the Chiefs on Friday. The whole weekend would mess with my stomach. I had a feeling that Matt Ryan somehow would go figure out to throw the ball to different people other than Pittman, unlike he did 2 weeks ago against the Jaguars.
We're going to touch on the Jaguars.
Yeah. So yeah, like I said, it's a big surprise that and Jonathan Taylor didn't really have that good of a game either.
I think he had like 75 yards on the ground or something like that.
Yeah, it was all Matt Ryan and the play calling by Frank Wright. And the defense. The defense came out big when it needed to be. But yeah, big surprise for me about the Colts.
Honestly, I do agree with you. I kind of jinxed all three of us on this one because I introed the game as we're all taking the Chiefs, right?
I wanted to pick the Colts so bad when you said that.
And here's the thing, right? Is I think the Chiefs needed one of these come to earth games. Yeah, I know they lost in the AFC Championship game last year against the Bengals. But other than that, the Chiefs have kind of steamrolled anybody that you put in front of them. They've even beaten the Bills twice in the playoffs the last couple of years. I think they needed a come to earth game, a team that is not in any way, shape, or form as good as them to beat them. And that happened. And I expect the Chiefs probably to go on a run here and not lose a game for a little while.
So my big thing on this is, you look at the Chiefs on paper and then you look at the Colts and you look at the way those two teams have been playing. And the obvious selection, as Bill alluded to in our prediction show for this week, was the Chiefs. But the reality is teams don't go undefeated. There's on paper, there's no better team than the Bills in the NFL. They're not going to win every game. Obviously, they just lost this week. We'll talk about it in a little bit, but the teams don't go undefeated. Teams have bad weeks, and that was one of those things. The Colts definitely, if they hit their ceiling, had the potential to upset the Chiefs, and that's what happened here. I don't think the Chiefs are, worse than the Colts. I don't think that the Colts are a very good football team, but 9 times out of 10, the Chiefs win this game. It just happened to be the 1/10 of the time. So,
yeah. I mean, listen, it's going to happen. Timmy also alluded to Jonathan Taylor not playing well. You're right. Jonathan Taylor is not playing well, and it's the game plan. 100% the game plan.
A lot of running backs aren't playing well too. We'll talk about it in a little bit when we talk about the Jaguars. But Austin Eckler also isn't playing very well either.
That is correct. Second game on the docket, the Texans, who Ryan so high on these damn Texans.
They play every game so close. Like, I know that they're going to be a bottom 5 team in the NFL, but I did not expect them to be this competitive.
So anyway, the Texans lose in Chicago to the David Montgomery-less Chicago Bears because primarily of Tariq Cohen?
No, Khalil Herbert.
I'm sorry. Khalil Herbert goes bananas for 137 yards and 2 touchdowns.
157 yards.
I can't read. Math is hard. Timmy, go.
The Bears played good defense. I mean, it's in a windy city. The ball is moving around when they're passing. David Mills didn't have a good game. He threw an interception at the end of the game, which calls up the Bears to have a great field position to kick the field goal at the end of the game. But other than that, like you said, the Texans have been playing good ball. I wasn't expecting any of the games to be that close as they are. I think
Justin Fields, in or out, Timmy?
Out.
God, yeah, he's terrible. He's absolutely terrible. I've been saying it for 2 years.
They need to get a coach that's a quarterback whisperer. If they had gotten a coach like Doug Peterson, he would look so much different. But the reality is the Bears don't give a shit about Justin Fields or their offense. They didn't get him any, top name receiver to help him out in the offseason. They just got rid of Allen Robinson and didn't really do much for him. Montgomery's not a fantastic running back. They didn't really improve the O-line. The Bears don't care about Justin Fields. So, yeah, Justin Fields looked bad. But how much of this is really his fault? I mean, not really being set up for success.
I mean, he only threw. I think I just saw something on Facebook.
He threw 11 passes last game.
No, I mean, in 3 games, he only thrown 200 and I think 95 yards total.
Yeah, and that I think he's only made 26 total pass completions.
Yeah.
Well, he also only threw the ball 11 times last week, so. I mean, you look at those numbers, but it's alarming. And I do want to touch on Khalil Herbert. I do think he's the better running back there. But I think that Chicago's just biding their time. David Montgomery's on the final year of his contract. There's no whisper or sound that there's going to be a contract extension. So I do believe David Montgomery's time is up in Chicago. And Khalil Herbert will be taking over starting next year, which is why I bought him up all over the place in fantasy football, because I'll talk about that tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Good. I like that little segue. That was nice. Anyway, all 3 of us took the Texans, so unfortunately that was a loss that we all took. Nobody gained any ground there. Next game.
Aren't segways those things you ride, like the scooters? In the mall?
I think it's both.
I'm not saying you're wrong.
Hey, Tech Guru, can you please weigh in on that? Did I improperly use the word segue? Going into the next game, it's the New Orleans Saints visiting the Carolina Panthers. Panthers and Baker Mayfield come away with their first victory. They leaned really heavily on one individual, which we thought they were going to do to begin with. Christian McCaffrey had a pretty good game. Timmy, how do you feel?
I got this game wrong. I thought
you did.
Jamin will come out better than what he did the last 2 weeks, and I was wrong on the defense. The Saints defense played really well against the Bucs until the fourth quarter, until Lattimore and Mike Evans got ejected.
Tune in tomorrow to find out, Tim.
Yep. Tune in tomorrow. I got you.
Also, just for you fans really wondering if I use segue correctly, it's spelled differently. However, I did use it correctly. Hold on. So that's Timmy's wife. Here's my wife chiming in. Two teachers just told me I got it right. So what's up?
We've gone from BSing sports to BSing music to BSing English here on BSing insert topic.
Well, apparently that's Italian. BSing Italian.
That's true. BSing language, world language. That's what we're going with.
Sorry, Timmy. You can continue. I'm sorry, buddy.
But I'm going to go off of what Tim Hawkins said a little bit. DJ Moore needs to be more involved in that offense.
Hell yeah, he does.
He's the second best player on that team.
Correct.
You got to use him. Like,
Robbie Anderson's clearly the best player on the Panthers.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But you see how they started using Christian McCaffrey. Now they need to bring DJ Moore in the rotation, and they should be a better team than what they've been playing.
I think part of the whole Christian McCaffrey thing was Christian McCaffrey telling Baker Mayfield, like, give me the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you guys covered it all, really. The Saints just didn't play well. I'm curious, though, as to how injured Jameis Winston actually is. You know, he has multiple fractures in his back from what it sounds like. He was wearing 4 layers of protection on Sunday. So I'm curious as to how long he can continue to play through this injury and if he can continue to, or if he can turn it around and play effectively or not. So that's going to be something to keep an eye on moving forward.
So my big thing is,
I want to apologize to all of our Spotify listeners up to this point. We had an intelligent tech guru inform me last week that when we pull up comments, it's cool that we can read them. However, if we don't read them aloud, you have no idea what we're referencing. So Timmy responded to DJ Moore comment because one of our listeners, Tim Hawkins, said, "Where the F is DJ Moore?" Timmy responded to that. Our new question or statement is, Rule's last year. Matt Rule is the coach of the Panthers. And then Ken Brandt is saying, yeah, Rule done. Be surprised if he makes the whole season. I won't be surprised if he makes the whole season because it's only his second year?
It's his third year, I think.
It still probably makes the whole season.
Yeah, I think he makes the whole season too. If they start using the best players in the right properly way.
It's all about putting players in position to succeed, right? Based on their skill set. Yeah.
Yeah, when you look at the Panthers, this isn't a team that had any sort of high expectations. I mean, at best, they were a fringe playoff contender. So it's really about, like, can you display that you know how to use the weapons that are on the team? And right now, Matt Rule is not doing that. So if he continues down that path, I would not be surprised if he gets fired midseason. However, I do think that he will make the appropriate adjustments and play the whole season out, but I don't think that he will be there next year.
Isn't Matt Rule a defensive-minded coach?
No, he's offensive. He started at Temple, then he went to Baylor, and now he's the coach.
He turned Baylor around pretty good, but I mean, ultimately
turned Temple around too.
Ultimately, outside of maybe a couple names, that college to NFL head coaching thing just does not work out very well. Yeah. I think you're going to see that be a lot less frequent in the future because it just doesn't turn out.
Look at Nick Saban, one of the most successful college coaches in history, could not cut it in the NFL.
Harbaugh's probably the most, probably the exception to the rule there, and he's still better in college than he is in the NFL.
Correct. Yeah. Let's see. We've got – all right, so listen. The Las Vegas Raiders are 0-3. They're the only winless team in the NFL. In addition, the teams that they've lost to are 0-6 against any other team. That's how bad the Oakland or Las Vegas Raiders are right now. Anyway, so they played against the Tennessee Titans, who also were desperate for a win. Titans come out on top 24-22. Listen, this was an ugly game. I don't know if you guys had the opportunity to look at any of it. It was not a pretty game. Good for Derrick Henry for, looking like he's King Henry.
85 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah. So good for him. And he really
caught 5 passes, too.
He did. He looked like a different back there. But the Raiders, Timmy, what is going on with the – oh, by the way, I'm sorry. I'm supposed to be doing this too. What was the last game we talked about?
Panthers and Saints.
Yeah. All right, Timmy got the Saints wrong. Ryan and I got the Panthers right.
We definitely already talked about that.
My bad. So all three of us took the Titans here. But anyway, Timmy, what's going on with the Raiders?
I think Derek Carr needs to learn how to throw the ball to different people, which he has been doing better. I'm not saying he hasn't. But McDaniels needs to figure out how to use a wide receiver one. He never had one, and he needs to figure it out soon. And what is that running game? I haven't seen any of it. I think Jacobs had a decent game last week, but that's about it. He hadn't done nothing else. And I also noticed in the fourth quarter, 2-minute drill, Derek Carr, he's making bad decisions. He literally threw the ball to 5 different Tennessee Titans defenders, and they dropped every last one of them.
No, dude, you're 100% right. Derek Carr right now is what I think the problem is in Vegas. I know we want to harp on Josh McDaniels, and listen, rightfully so. He's not doing a good game plan. They're not utilizing Devonte Adams the way Devonte Adams should be utilized. They're not giving Josh Jacobs an opportunity to show that he's still a pretty good back. So for me, yes, Josh McDaniels is also to blame. However, Derek Carr is not making the best of his opportunity. Again, you've got Devonte Adams. You know he's going to be double teamed. You still have Hunter Renfrow. I know. I'm sorry. You're right. He had a concussion. That's my fault. However, Matt Collins, 9 receptions, 131 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah, something like that.
Matt Collins, former Eagle. I'm sorry. I took Ryan's limelight there. Good.
No, to me, this is a McDaniels issue. You look at the Raiders last year and 2 years ago. Derek Carr was not playing, this poorly for any stretch, but it's also not a Derek Carr thing. Darren Waller dropped 3 touchdown passes in that game. I mean, hit him in the hands, and it's just a little bit of bad luck, really. I think that the Raiders are too good of a team not to be plagued by bad luck right now, and a little bit of a coaching issue. I think Josh McDaniels needs to, as Bill alluded to and you touched on, better utilize Devonte Adams. I don't think it's so much the amount of targets that he's getting. It's where are those targets coming from on the field? If they're 20-plus yards downfield, then you're obviously not utilizing Adams right. That's not the type of receiver that he is. So, but I did find it problematic when they brought in Devonte Adams because he's a very similar skill set to Hunter Renfrow, just better at it, obviously. So it was going to be a little bit of a conflicting style there. They were both very good slot receivers who ran good routes. So it was going to be a little interesting, and right now it just hasn't gelled for them so far.
Yeah. Took the words pretty much right out of my mouth. That's perfect.
I know.
So again, all three of us took the Titans in that game. Moving forward, the Cincinnati Bengals, who were also desperate for their first win of the season, and who I think will figure it out and go on a little bit of a run here, do get the victory against the Jets. Jets. Jets.
L.
Listen, as good as Flacco looked in the fourth quarter against the Browns last week, he looked adversely as terrible. Adversely is not correct. Regardless, he looked the opposite of terrible. As terrible.
Inversely?
I think it's inversely.
Yeah.
BSing the English language here.
Help us out, teachers.
Yeah. Moral of the story: Joe Burrow and the Bengals handle business. Take out the Jets at the Meadowlands.
Yeah, I was playing Joe Burrow in one of these fantasy leagues where I was 2-0. I lost this week because of him. I think that he actually played his heart out. He still got sacked a couple times. They need to figure out that offensive line, in my opinion. He shouldn't be getting hit as much as he is.
I'll tell you what, Burrow played a good game, but still the Bengals look out of sync. You're not seeing any big plays that you saw last year to any sort of stretch. And I said that would happen, but I didn't think that it would just, disappear. I didn't think that it would vanish. Like my dad going to the grocery store for the last 18 years, it's just gone, not to come back. So just kidding. My dad is definitely in my life and checking up on me. I love him still.
Thanks, Dad. Burrow did look better. The team as a whole, thanks for trolling me again, love.
Buccaneers.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, my wife, I asked her to get me beverages while I do the show, and she has decided to troll me the last couple of weeks and bring me Buccaneers glasses.
Which is weird because if I look on this sheet, I don't see that the Buccaneers are bolded. Let me put my glasses on.
They're definitely not.
They're definitely not bolded, which means that they lost.
What's funny about that is I took the Buccaneers on our little gentleman's bed here. However, on my pool where I could have made money, I took the Packers. So
that's all that matters. They won in the money league.
I didn't win any.
You win some, you lose even more. It is.
Since we're on this game, we might as well talk about it.
No, we got the game.
Yeah, we're
about to talk about.
We're gonna talk about the game. All right, my man.
We need you to issue a public apology right now and say that Bill and Ryan know more about football than I do.
So the 2-0 undefeated Buffalo Bills visit to South Florida to play the 2-0, except they're now 3-0, undefeated Miami Dolphins, one of the only two 3-0 teams in the NFL.
Get up, baby.
So, listen, great defensive game plan by both teams. Allen definitely lost the game there. He had an opportunity to take the lead with like 38 seconds left or something like that. Didn't put a good throw on the ball. It ended up coming back to bite them in the tail. Coach destroys the play booth afterwards.
Ken Dorsey had destroyed the play booth. That was so funny.
But the Dolphins prevail, 21-19. This game was worth double points because Timmy was so sure the Bills were going to win. So, Tim, is there something you'd like to say to us?
Listen, it was a good game. I'm not apologizing for my hard picking the Bills. I think when they play again, I'm still picking the damn Bills.
Oh, I said on the show I'll pick the Bills if it's in Buffalo. I wasn't picking against the Dolphins in Miami.
And listen, I was taking the Bills if the secondary was healthy. Like, it's that kind of game.
So, my biggest thing is, you guys seen Tua get back up after the hit and wobble down?
Yeah, we could talk about that. Go ahead.
What is up with that concussion protocol?
Man, you're about to take the words right out of my mouth. I said I sent out a text in a group that said what the concussion protocol in the NFL makes no sense. If it's mid-game, it's follow the finger. But you'll hear dudes are all out of practice all week because they can't pass the concussion. Like, what is – I mean, I get that you want to get players back in the game as fast as you can, but, like, why is there such a substantial difference between in-game concussion protocol and throughout the week? It just makes no sense.
I can swear I seen that head hit the back of that field, whiplash style.
It was a pretty brutal hit.
And fell right back down. And it's my back. No, it's not your back, man. It's a concussion. It's a minute. But hey, he came back out in the second half and played well.
Listen, here's the thing. He like was saying it's his back, and the training staff said it was his back and not a concussion. The NFL should have stepped in. When he came out in the second half and tried to play, the NFL should have immediately called those referees and been like, absolutely not, no way. If you're like, listen, you've got Amazon commercials through every commercial break talking about how good the helmets are these days, trying to protect players from the concussion protocol and CTE. And then you allow that to happen because it's a Bills versus Dolphins like title match, supposedly, or whatever.
It's week fucking 3.
It's a mistake. It's week 3. Tua Tagovailoa is the quarterback of the Dolphins, and you don't really want to risk him getting hurt because they could be a good team and they could be electric to watch moving forward. And I get it. The NFL wants those types of teams. But you need to protect your players.
Listen, I think the Dolphins and Bills play in week, I want to say 13 again or something around there. And
I believe that is correct, yeah.
It's going to be another good game. Absolutely.
Yeah, but, and it's going to be in Buffalo, and I'm taking the Bills unless Josh Allen is hurt.
I'm not saying
that's how confident I am about it.
If Diggs is hurt, I ain't taking the Bills either.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
But
they put an asterisk next to that, where I say I'll take the Bills.
Like Tanya said, the Heat in September, it's the weapon by itself, definitely on the field. And it shows that Stephon Diggs, Isaiah McKenzie, they wasn't ready for it. They was not ready for that heat.
Because they all left with cramps, didn't they?
Yep. Stephon Diggs went on that fourth quarter because cramps.
Yeah, and
Davis big crucial play.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, you guys got a game right. I'm proud of you.
One? Dude, you went 7-9.
Yeah, sub 500. How's that basement look, Tim?
It's all right now. Don't worry about it. Bill is about to have this weekend. Next week is yours, Ryan.
I'm steady as they go. 9-7, baby.
I'm going to continue popping off these 10, 11 win weeks. I'm cool with it. Like, let's go.
I'm going to just start copying Bill.
Oh, just so you fans know, we finally came up with a perfect punishment for the loser. And all three of us have agreed this is like torture to us. We've decided, and thank you to, again, our tech guru, Allie, that the loser will have to walk into a sporting goods store, purchase with their own money a Dallas Cowboys shirt, and wear it on a live podcast. At which point you will be ridiculed mercilessly by the other two of us.
I am not going into a sporting goods store. I will order one off Amazon.
You get my point.
I ain't being caught in public with that.
Fair enough. You have to order one with your own money, though.
Yeah, that's fine.
Maybe we'll do like a whole unwrapping it situation. Like as a
putting
video.
putting it on during the show.
I think it's going to be. Yeah, Ken Brandt says that's brutal because it is for Eagles fans. That is brutal. It like breaks your heart a little bit thinking about it. Tim, it's going to suck for you.
It's only week 4, boys. Don't worry.
Hey, listen, you and Ryan are tied. You should really start talking
no,
crap
whoa,
on him, buddy.
whoa. If you do that math right, I got a win up on him.
Ryan is a half a game up on Timmy.
I am a full game up on Timmy.
That's fine. No biggie.
You know what, Tim? You know what? Tim Hawkins says we should make them buy a hat too. I think that's good. Yeah, wear a shirt and a hat. I think I'm okay with that.
I thought
Let's probably do either or.
No, I think we should do both. All right, let's Dallas Cowboys merchandise that has to be visible on the show. Fair?
Dallas Cowboys flag to hang in the back.
Oh God, I would not do that.
Yeah, that'd be terrible.
Ken says he would burn that damn shirt afterwards. Allie says yes, shirt and hat. You must be confident that I'm going to win, Al, because I know you don't want to spend money on this stuff. Anyway, moving back to our situation here, we've got the Philadelphia Eagles flying high at 3-0 after defeating the Washington Commies and sacking Carson Wentz nine times, which, by the way, is Nick Foles' old number in Philadelphia.
People just look for reaches of comparisons. God, that's so irritating.
It's funny to think about, though. Somebody dug that deep for that, man. Timmy, how are we feeling about the Commies? Oh, I twisted you up a little bit, didn't I?
That offensive line is absolutely terrible.
Ranked top 10 or something like that?
Not from what I know.
No, they're ranked bottom. They rank bottom. But,
okay, my bad.
Well, they rank bottom now, that's for sure.
Yeah, lying. But Carson Wentz need to make better decisions. He holding the ball a little bit too long, in my opinion. But they didn't get nothing going, really. They got Curtis Samuel, a couple big passes. That's about it, though. Brandon Graham.
Yeah, no. Tim Hawkins says Brandon Graham went off. Sorry, continue. I didn't mean to disrupt you, man. Go ahead.
But it kind of says something about the Eagles. So I want to go to the Eagles. Forget the Commies. That's what I got to say about them.
Go ahead. Go to the Eagles.
Why are we only scoring in one quarter? But again,
I'm going to let Ryan take this one. He's been like chomping at the bit for it.
24-8. Yeah, defense been playing good, but I don't know if that is. I can't even see that.
It's our business card. We're waiting on Stacy's contribution with your face so we can figure something else out.
Yeah, well, I've been waiting here too, so.
Fair enough. It wasn't an insult. Calm down. Wow, defensive.
Yeah, yikes.
Wow, did you hear that?
Wow.
He was like, screw you.
He played more defense than the Commies did.
But like I said, the Eagles are only scoring in the first 2 quarters, if that, second quarter mainly. 24-8. Like the Nick Sirianni's got to pick up on the offense better than I can't even see that. Look like a damn idiot right now trying to look. Thank you.
Stone TJ Nelson says, "Go Pack, go." He's one of my new coworkers here at the new job. What's up? What's going on there, Brian? Appreciate you chiming in here.
You're gonna have to stick around so we can talk about that Packers-Buccaneers game.
Indeed.
I lost my track, so go ahead.
No. You wanted to talk about the Eagles and how we're only scoring 24 points in the second quarter and then not again, and how it's a thing that they're not scoring right now. I want you to finish yours because Ryan also has a take.
I lost all my train of thought, so go ahead.
I'm sorry. I know we're goofing off a little bit. I'm sorry, Timmy. I'll try and be more professional.
Let's get serious.
Let's get down to business.
The Eagles are not the Commies. The Eagles are not scoring in the second half because coaching adjustments. I mean, they're kind of overcompensating. They, essentially taking their foot off the gas, which is fine. I understand that there is no need to play as aggressively if you're up 24 points in the second half. However, you do have to learn how to ice the game. You have to learn how to keep the ball, time of possession, continue to get first downs, and chew the clock away, especially when you run into these good teams. The Eagles do run into a tough – punch me in the face after it says – a tough Cowboys defense in a couple weeks. Hit me. that Dallas Cowboys defense will keep them in the game, as they have done for the whole season. That defense has shown out really well. To me, that is their first big test week 6 for the offense is, can they show out? Now, I'm glad you talked about Jalen Hurts because
read the comment.
Timothy Hawkins says, really thought you were going to blame Jalen Hurts. Kind of his fault. I mean, not really doing much to help the offense, in all honesty. It's a collective, I'd say most of the blame goes to game planning, but collectively it's a whole offensive issue. Second part to that is, I'm glad you brought up Jalen Hurts because he still has yet to perform very well against a good defense. They played good football for one quarter. They played 25% of the game good football. And everybody wants to make Jalen Hurts an NFL MVP frontrunner. That is not, you guys are delusional. It's delirious, and Jalen Hurts needs to do it against a good defense. The first good defense he faces, week 6, against the Cowboys, Sunday night in Philadelphia. If he can do it there, I will come on here and say Jalen Hurts actually has a legitimate shot to lead the Eagles to a Super Bowl potentially. But until Jalen Hurts doesn't have to win, just has to play well. If he plays well against a good defense, I will get completely behind Jalen Hurts. Not that I'm not completely behind Jalen Hurts. I always want the Eagles to do well. I'm an Eagles fan. But the truth of the matter is there are really people out there that think Jalen Hurts is, Lamar Jackson or better, and that's not the case.
Listen, I texted this in a group chat. I said the best ball that Jalen Hurts threw this year was on that first pass in the Washington Commanders game where Craig Watkins was held. That ball would have dropped right in his hands. That's the best pass I've seen from
that Devonte Smith pass down at the 1 yard line. Not the touchdown pass, the one that got them there. That was in double coverage. I mean, that was a bit of a
bad call,
odd decision, but that was a fantastic throw.
Yeah.
Look, Jalen Hurts, just like in years past, has shown flashes of being really, really good. Now, having said that, he's done it more consistently this season, but against bad defenses, as Ryan's pointed out. Now, the biggest issue that I have with the Eagles, listen, we're 3-0. I'm ecstatic as an Eagles fan. Ecstatic. We are 3-0 in the division. We are the best team in the NFC right now. Yes,
record-wise.
I see. If you had been watching our shows recently here, Brian, I promise you, we've already discussed how the Bucs and the Packers are better than the Eagles.
I do think that the Buccaneers and the Packers, with the way that they played in the second halves, are still better football teams than the Eagles. That's just me.
I stand by that. So record-wise, the Eagles are the best team in the NFC, and I'm ecstatic. But as Ryan pointed out, Jalen Hurts has to do it consistently throughout an entire game. Like, it's great that he's showing us flashes 1 and 2 quarters. Most of the game against the Lions, the defense kind of gave that one out. The Vikings, you gave me a great first half, and then you did nothing the second half, almost literally nothing. And then the same thing with the Commanders. You're up by 24 points, and it's coaching adjustments that shouldn't be done. But Jalen Hurts isn't helping them. He's not making the right decisions to put them in a position to be successful. And I just want to see Jalen Hurts take that next step to where, okay, we're up 24-0 going into halftime. That's not big enough for me. I want a bigger lead. I want to get to the next step. I want to win by 45 points against every team I play, because those are the types of quarterbacks that are MVP worthy. And it's that simple.
Yeah, I mean, Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes go toe-to-toe. Those are good teams with the Bills, regularly have a top 10 defense. They were number 1 in the league last year. Patrick Mahomes went and scored a bunch of points on them.
That's right.
He's a good quarterback.
13 seconds, right? Everybody thought that the Bills had finally won. So Adam Brandt asks, how do we think they're going to fare next week? We do have a predictions episode on Friday evening, which we are doing, Tim, just so you know. Okay. Because with the hurricane canceling our live show, we're going to do the predictions on Friday, and then Ryan and I are just going to BS football.
We're just going to do like a pregame for better than Fox and ESPN do. But that's
right. So we do have a prediction show. However, I don't know if you'll have the opportunity to jump on that. I will tell you, I do think they beat the Jaguars. And that's where we're at with that. None of our dogs even reacted to that. That's pretty good. All right. So moving forward, now that we've ripped apart the Eagles, who are 3-0,
it's just there's a lot of skepticism with it. Like you look at the Eagles, they played well at the end of last year, and then they play well at the beginning of this year. What is the combined record of those teams over that span outside of games that they've played against the Eagles? I mean, we're talking about the Commanders, who were a sub-500 team last year, and they are, as of right now, sub-500 again. We're talking the Giants. They're These teams aren't good football teams.
The Vikings.
I mean, the Vikings are an okay football team, but I don't think anybody thought the Vikings were a Super Bowl contender, especially not on the defensive
Definitely
side.
not in this show, that's for sure.
Not on the defensive side of the football. They are terrible.
So anyway, all three of us took the Eagles. Moving on to the next game. Sorry, we spent more time on the Eagles than I thought we were going to. Vikings pull out the victory with a late KJ Osborne touchdown over the Lions, 28-24. And I know the Lions lose another close game. This Lions team is better than their record shows right now. They really are.
We said that would happen. They would lose a bunch of close games.
Yeah. Timmy, how do you feel about either the Vikings or Lions?
Where is Justin Jefferson? He'd been no call, no show the last 2 weeks, in my opinion.
I think the Eagles showed how to minimize his effect. I think John Gannon had the best play calling of his career in that Vikings game to shut down Justin Jefferson. And I think that he may have given the recipe to minimizing his – look, he had a bad game yesterday too. He's going to get his touches. He's going to.
Yeah, you're right. Other than that, the Vikings and the Lions game were kind of smooth fest for me until like the fourth quarter when they actually started doing some things.
True.
Dalvin Cook got the touchdown that I've been looking for all week.
I'm surprised he didn't immediately come and say, "Oh, I won that game and you guys lost it."
Yeah.
Wait, what?
You're the only one that picked the Vikings. You're the only one that won.
We thought for sure you were going to be like, "Ah."
Yeah, but I said the Vikings going to win. They're going to pull it out, and they did. So, go Vikes, I guess.
Go Vikings.
That was nasty.
I'll take it.
Skull.
Ryan, what do you think? Vikings, Lions?
Yeah, as you touched on, Tim, Justin Jefferson's been kind of a no-call, no-show the last couple of weeks, but he's going to get his. He'll be fine. There's no sort of long-term issues with him. However, Dalvin Cook did end up going out in the game with the same injury that he sat out 11 days and missed the game for last year. Fortunately, it doesn't sound as severe this time around. It sounds like that he has a good shot to play Sunday with a high chance of re-injury. Now, do keep in mind that they are in a slightly shorter week as the Vikings do play in the London game with a 9:30 start time next week. So I fully expect Dalvin Cook to sit that game, protect their investment. They paid Dalvin Cook a lot of money, a contract extension. So I think that Alexander Mattison will get the start. And he also scored a touchdown in Dalvin Cook's absence. Yeah. So he's more than serviceable enough as a replacement. But the Vikings got back on track offensively after being shut down by the Eagles on Monday Night Football the previous week. And the Lions, this is what they're going to be. They're going to lose a lot of close games. Their offense is a lot better than people thought it would be. Amon-Ra St. Brown is looking like one of the top-tier wide receivers in the NFL over the last 8 games or so. But this is who they're going to be. They're going to lose a bunch of close games. They just don't have the talent. They're a young team. DeAndre Swift missed some time in that game, and Jamal Williams filled in 20 carries, 87 yards, and a touchdown. So,
did St. Brown had his name?
Ankle.
Ankle, but it sounds like he's day to day. It doesn't sound like that it's going to be anything, long term.
Okay.
Yeah, listen, you guys said pretty much everything I wanted to say. Amon-Ra St. Brown has looked like a true number one wide receiver, which isn't something I thought in the offseason. But he and Goff seem to have something that's working, and that's fantastic for them, And with everything the way it's going in that division, I mean, you're talking the Lions are 1-2, and they're still within striking distance of the division. I still believe that the Vikings and the Packers are the cream of the crop in that division. But the Lions are going to make it more interesting. The Bears, I don't think will, but the Lions are going to make it more interesting. And I'm excited to see it. I've got nothing against the Lions. I like Dan Campbell. I think he's a great coach. And and he's got that team bought in. And I think that's the biggest part of it is Dan Campbell has the Lions bought in. And good for the Lions, right? So moving on, you guys are doing a fantasy show next week, tomorrow. So
Ravens, Patriots.
Ravens go into Foxborough and beat, now the Mac Jones, whatever. Jones is hurt. 37-26. Timmy, give me your feelings on that and try and take a minute or two. I'm trying to do something.
Lamar playing for that contract signing. He definitely playing for that. Mark Andrews getting his dues lately. We all picked the Ravens to win. I think. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, but Lamar Jackson playing for that contract signing, and I think he's going to earn it by the end of this year. The Ravens are stupid if they don't sign him, but also it's smart because they can't afford it. But that's a different story.
Yeah, we'll touch on the Lamar Jackson thing as the season develops a little bit more. I mean, he could get hurt next week. It could shoot his value through the floor. So
true. J.K. Dobbins did play. He was on a snap count. Ken Brandt. But
Ken Brandt who asked, how did Dobbins do?
He played pretty well to me, in my opinion. He got the touches I like to see. They're going to keep working on more and more and more. It only helping that offense out better, in my opinion. They're going to open up the passing game to the running backs. Mark Andrews not going to be covered as much anymore because they have a running back who can sit where the linebackers sit.
It's true. Coach Jimmy over here. No, I mean, dude, you're right. 100% right. Keep going, man. Fire away.
Now, on the New England side, yeah, Mac Jones has a very high ankle sprain that could need surgery to fix it. That's what I heard today.
Timetable's 4 to 5 weeks for him.
Mm-hmm.
Who's your backup?
Brian.
That's
what I said, dude.
Sorry.
That's what I said. I was like, is Brian Hoyer still the backup there? And then I was like, man, he is. Wow.
It's going to hurt the chances of the playoffs. I don't think they're going to win a game with Brian Hoyer behind the center.
The defense, I don't think they were a playoff team, even if Mac Jones stays healthy all year.
Yeah, you're right.
We've already discussed it. I'm sorry, go ahead.
That defense played really well against a good offense of the Ravens. Matched up pretty equally. Ramon Stevenson, I think it finally going to be taking over the RB1 in New England.
It's about time.
God, I hope so. He's so much better than Damian Harris.
Yes.
So Timothy Hawkins says Darth Hoodie out. What he's referring to is Bill Belichick, who is known as Darth Hoodie. Ryan, Timmy, and I have talked about this on pods in recent weeks. Robert Kraft flat out told him if he could not win games without Tom Brady, he would not be the coach in New England. And I believe that is the case. And we are watching the end of Bill Belichick era in New England. Now, he's obviously a good coach. Somebody will hire him, but I think he's out in New England.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, he's done as at least the coach in New England and probably also the GM as well.
Oh, wow, you are a champion amongst everything. Here you go. Thank you. Man, that is...
Thanks for bringing forward, Drake. I appreciate that.
She is special.
But to touch on the Ravens, I mean, that Lamar Jackson had his way again. He's looking like the NFL MVP frontrunner, in my opinion. He's had a 70-yard touchdown pretty much every game. He had 2 last week. Rashad Bateman's come to life. He was a little quiet this past week, but to the tune of Mark Andrews, who had an absolutely fantastic week, 8 catches for 89 yards, 2 touchdowns. And J.K. Dobbins opens up the offense greatly. Although he was on a snap count, he's obviously far and away and significantly better than Justice Hill and Kenyon Drake, who was a healthy scratch, and Mike Davis. So that offense is just going to continue to get better in the coming weeks.
So Brian Nelson says 70-plus rushing yards too, right? Yes. J.K. Dobbins on a snap count still put up 70.
No. He's talking about Lamar Jackson.
I'm sorry. Lamar Jackson did put up 70-plus rushing yards. Yes, that's correct. Fortified on Twitch. What's going on, buddy? It's good to see you.
Hey, what's up, man?
So true story, Fortified. We assumed it was you that was watching us on Twitch, and we just weren't sure. So thank you. Let's see. Typical Lamar, blah, blah, blah. Lamar. Okay. All right. Moving off of the Ravens game, let's go to the game that I'm actually pretty happy to talk about. Listen, the Jaguars are a playoff team right now. The Jaguars right now, that division is not good. The division is not good. You got the Colts, the Texans, the Titans, and the Jaguars. The Jaguars are a playoff team right now.
You done? Can I jump in real quick?
Absolutely not.
Doug Peterson's first year in Philadelphia, they started out 4-0. They make playoffs.
That's a wonderful statistic, which means he learned from his mistakes. They go into Los Angeles.
Yeah, they went to San Diego and beat a team that played in Los Angeles.
So they go into Los Angeles and they beat the Chargers. Listen, Justin Herbert, yes, I know he's injured, but he played, didn't he?
Yes, full game.
Played a full game. The Jaguars just had a game plan, and they executed it to perfection. So, yeah, go Jags.
Jags
Doug Peterson led. They are a playoff team. I will live and die on this as the season goes on.
They're not going to make the playoffs, dude. It's not going to happen.
Timmy? I want to hear Timmy's before I decided whether or not I want to do a gentleman's bet.
I wouldn't mind. They're not going to make the playoffs.
Oh, I'm definitely a gentleman betting this one.
They're not making the playoffs, dude. We'll figure out what the bet is. But here, I mean, the reality of the situation is I still trust Mike Vrabel over the young Jaguars team, although the Jaguars have really shown out, that this was not a case, as Bill has already touched on. Justin Herbert did play through his injury. This was not a case of, if Herbert was healthy and they had Keenan Allen, they would have won. Nope, no shot. Jags came out, spanked them left, spanked them right, sent them home with their buttocks all red from all the spankings. So the Chargers, look like they have a little bit of work to do. I look at this as their outlier game on the season. I still think that they finished, 10-7, 9-8, whatever I said it was in the beginning of the season. I think Brandon Staley obviously has a lot to work on as a coach, which is definitely something I said because they do not involve Austin Eckler enough in the offense. Mike Williams was very silent. It looked like Josh Palmer was the only receiver out there for the Chargers. So definitely some things that they need to work on.
Tim?
Yeah, Ryan took the words out of my mouth. I don't think the Jags would be a playoff team, but we can't deny the fact that Trevor Lawrence and Christian Kirk is playing very well together. That they are a really good force right now. That I don't want to say it, but they play the Eagles next week, so I think they'll be stoppable. So I can't say unstoppable. For the first 3 weeks, they were unstoppable. How about that one?
Listen, when Christian Kirk was signed, we all made fun of
everybody
the deal. Made fun of the deal.
And Doug Peterson's found a way to utilize him to make him look like he fits right in. And this isn't like, to the detriment of Zay Jones and Marvin Jones either. They've had a role in the offense as well. So they're finding ways to spread the ball around and, get it to people in situations. Unlike what we talked about earlier, it's a coach utilizing his players in the best positions available to help the team succeed. So,
sorry, Tim, you can continue your point, man. I'm sorry. We keep interrupting you.
That's fine.
I can't wait till the three of us are together. This show will be freaking awesome.
The three of us get together. If you cut me off one more time.
Sorry, continue.
Yeah, quit cutting them off.
Continue. Anyway, I'm sorry. I had to. I'm sorry.
Robinson is looking very well.
For those of you on Spotify, I cut Timmy off by taking him off the pod, and then he responded by taking us off the pod and talking himself. I love it. Timmy, fire away, buddy.
James Robinson's looking very well. I saw that, Ryan. Good try.
What? No. I said flip-floppers.
Okay. But I think Travis Etienne is getting more touches as he gaining more confidence into that offense. I think he would take over as the starting running back for Jacksonville because I don't think James Robinson can keep up with the carries he's doing.
Damn, dude, you're still a James Robinson hater? I love that guy.
My man is lighting up everybody in my fantasy leagues because I drafted him.
Listen, I want Travis Etienne to do good. I don't know why. I guess because he's on my fantasy team, maybe. Who knows? But I'm going to go talk about the Chargers real quick.
Good.
They need, like we said about Baker Mayfield and Chris McCaffrey, Austin Eckler need to get the ball. They're not running him enough. They're not throwing the ball enough. He had 20 touchdowns last year, and they're not utilizing him enough in that offense. What changed from last year to this year? The offense is the same exact, basically. They might have lost a blocker, but what changed? Nothing else changed.
I think confidence changed, honestly. You're playing Oakland. You have an opportunity to make it to the playoffs. All you got to do is not lose a game that was tied, and the Raiders seemed very apparent to let you take the win or to take the tie, and both of you make the playoffs. I think it's a confidence thing, honestly. I just think, and this got so much to do with Brandon Staley, right? Young coach maybe hasn't figured out how to get the best out of his players, and it's exactly to your point. Austin Eckler's not getting the football enough. Keenan Allen's been injured, which is also kind of a detriment to the team because he's as good as he is. Mike Williams only has the one good game so far this season, which is very Mike Williams-esque. That's not out of the ordinary. But I think it all falls on coaching and the players' like belief in the coach. That makes sense? That makes sense. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, Austin Eckler wasn't going to score 20 touchdowns again. Stuff like that doesn't happen. But, I mean, they're just completely underutilizing him. So,
all right. Brian, you'll be happy. We got to your pack. We're going to talk about the Packers defeating the Buccaneers in Tampa.
Loser between Rodgers and Brady has to call their family.
That's hilarious.
That's a wonderful inside joke of all NFL fans who know that neither of them seem to want to be near their family. Having said that, again, listen, the first two drives the Packers have go down the field, 2 touchdowns. Romeo Doubs?
Romeo Doubs and Lazar.
Romeo Doubs emerges as a potential legitimate wide receiver 1.
There's a beat writer that reported that this week.
Is there?
Yep.
Wow, I just reported it out of my own brain. And listen, the last drive of the game for the Buccaneers, I know it ended up obviously them still losing because of a delay of game call, which is really
un-Brady-esque.
Yeah. But that drive showed why Tom Brady is still Tom Brady.
Yeah.
He had been getting beat all game long, and then he puts together a drive at the end of the game to try and give him a chance to win, and he gave him a chance to tie.
This is no Mike Evans, no Chris Godwin, no Julio Jones. I mean, Gronk's obviously in retirement.
Yeah, this Buccaneers team is definitely better than the Eagles. I'm going to say it. When they're healthy, they're a better team than the Eagles. Until the Eagles go and beat them, I have no reason to say otherwise. Sorry, Timmy.
My big thing is week 1, Leonard Fournette had, I think, 15 carries over 120 yards against that good Dallas defense we've been talking about.
Yeah.
Week 2, he barely got the ball. I don't know why. They're not running Leonard Fournette enough. You have to establish the run game first before you figure out the passing game.
I have the answer to that. As Ryan pointed out, no Mike Evans, no Chris Godwin. Week 1, Mike Evans was on the field.
So it's Chris Godwin.
Exactly. So you got 2 guys who attract safeties. You can't line 7 in the box, 8 in the box.
Okay. What about week 2 when Mike Evans was on the field?
He was only on the field for half the game.
He got kicked out the 4th quarter.
Was it the 4th quarter?
I think so.
I mean, to be fair, the Saints' defense isn't a slouch.
Correct.
Like, the Saints have a very good defense.
But so is the Cowboys' defense. It's a very good Cowboys
Yeah,
defense.
the Cowboys' pass defense is better than their run defense, though, by a lot.
You're right. But the Bucs need to use Leonard Fournette better than what they're using him. Like you said with the Chargers, the coaching thing. The coaching got to figure it out, in my opinion. Chris Godwin going to come back in, I think, 2 or 3 weeks. He's still out with a hamstring injury. He's now on IR, so he's able to come back any week now.
Week 6, right?
Yeah.
Week 6, he can come back.
Well, he's not on IR, so he can come back anytime.
I thought he was on IR.
Nope, they never put him on.
Oh, I'm sorry. Good job.
Evans will be back this week. Well, let's talk about Rodgers and Romeo Doubs. It looked like they came up with a connection quick. And it looked like Rodgers needed it from the first week to the second week to the third week. They were no Sammy Watkins, no who's the other rookie name? Who's the other rookie name?
Christian Watson.
Christian Watson, yes. No, they didn't have them. And Jones didn't do nothing. Neither did AJ Dillon. It looked like it was a pass-heavy game, which was very boring to me. Like Billy said, the Packers scored the first 2 drives, and then field goal from Bucks, and then touchdown at the end. Nothing too big out of that game, in my opinion. But the Bucks and Packers are still better than the Eagles until they prove me otherwise.
Yep, I agree. I think this was just good coaches, good teams. playing at a low scoring game and the quarterbacks missing their number one weapons.
Yeah, two Hall of Fame quarterbacks who are going in shorthanded, and could they have played better? Absolutely. Could they have played worse? Absolutely.
Should they have played on primetime? Absolutely.
Oh my God.
Yes.
You know what? We're going to get to that game in a few seconds. Rams.
Which game? Both of them suck.
I know. Oh my goodness. So the Rams go into Arizona, get a 20-12 victory. The Cardinals don't do anything except for four field goals after they make a fourth quarter comeback against the Raiders. Let's Timmy, fire away on this one. We keep interrupting you. I'll try not to this time.
No, you will. It's okay. It looked like the Cardinals finally got Hollywood Brown and Murray to get the connection going again like they did in college. Which is cool, fine. But they need more help than that. Then the running game is non-existent. James Conner's not doing nothing like he did last year. Billy playing with the background, apparently.
Just keep going.
The Rams, the Cardinals really did stop the Rams pretty well. Believe it or not, not the score, it's not showing on the score, but Cooper Kupp only had one touchdown and not over 100 yards. They stopped Cooper Kupp pretty well.
It broke two streaks that Cooper Kupp has: consecutive games with over 100 yards and consecutive games with 10 or more receptions.
Exactly. Cam Akers looked pretty well. They're getting him the ball more, so Darrell Henderson won't be as active, which is kind of crappy for me because I get traded for Darrell Henderson in one league. But it is what it is. Live and you learn. But it seems like the Rams want to be that team in NFC again. And right now they're showing it, but they haven't played no one really that well to have the positive record yet. So I guess we'll wait and see.
So, yeah, I mean, for me, and I don't know if you guys agree with me, but like for me, the Rams are the fourth best team in the NFC right now.
Yes.
You've got the Packers and Bucks who can go 1-1A. I believe the Eagles are behind them. That's how I do believe the Eagles are good. And then I think you have the Rams. And the reality of it is the Rams are defending Super Bowl champions. So I almost sort of give the nod to the Rams over the Eagles because of how young the quarterback situation in Philadelphia is and how Jalen Hurts only shows really good elite flashes while Matt Stafford has been consistently really good for most of his career. So the Rams are a good team. They're going to win games. They're likely to – I don't know what I just did. They are likely to be a 1-2 at the lowest 3 seed in the playoffs, and that's just what they are. Yeah, that's how I feel about that.
I think the Rams are starting to find their groove again. If you look at the breakdown of this game, they didn't have to throw the ball a whole lot because they ran the ball so well. And outside of last year where Cam Akers was hurt, Darrell Henderson missed games, and they were really thin on running backs at times. Sean McVay teams run the football very well. It was the first time that they had under 15 touchdowns rushing in a season as a team last year. So I think this year is going to be this game was a little bit more indicative of how they want to be as an offense, averaging 7.4 yards a play, ran for over 100 yards as a team. So I think that this is a little bit more what the Rams want to be. And I think that they're finally hitting their stride because as I've touched on in the previous, few pods, the Rams, all of their starters sat through the whole preseason. So all of them had rust to shake off, not just the quarterback. All of them had rust to shake off from week 1 to now. So I think that they're finally starting to shake that rust and hit their stride.
Yeah, I think something Timmy pointed out is how they're utilizing Cam Akers. So, Tim, good on that, right? Oh, hang on. He's texting us. You can go. We can run this show for a few minutes. Do you think it'll be quick or what's up?
Well, let's hurry up. We got 2 games after this.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah, we only got 2 games left. Is Cam Akers and how they're utilizing Cam Akers. He looks like he's coming back from that Achilles injury really well. And good for Cam Akers. We were nervous because of the playoffs last year, how he didn't really look that good. So good for Cam Akers, turning it on here. Moving on to the next game, we've got the Falcons going to Seattle and upsetting the Seahawks. Listen, we talked about it week 1. The Seahawks were not a good team. They upset all the hype and everything with Russ coming back. They upset the Broncos. upset the Broncos. We'll get into that in a second too. But the Falcons go in, play a good game. Mariota looks good. They win 27-23. Tim.
They finally got Pitts involved, and you see what happens when they throw the ball to Pitts. He's the freaking nature. You have to get the ball to him more. Plain and simple.
Yeah, he's a unicorn. I mean, now I question myself on whether the Falcons will be the number one overall pick, as I've been kind of anticipating them to be. Always thought they were going to be the worst team in the NFL, but I definitely still think they'll be bottom 5. But I think you've shown enough in the beginning of the year they might not be the worst team in the NFL. That's my take on that. And the Seahawks might be the worst team in the NFL. So
I do agree with both of those comments. Tim Hawkins says Mariota is not looking bad, and I do agree with that statement. He's not throwing for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns, but he's managing the game perfectly. He's doing what is good for him as a quarterback. He's using his legs when he needs to. He's getting the ball out, as Timmy alluded to Kyle Pitts when he needs to. And Drake London. Let's not put down Drake London's contributions to this team right now. They're a young team outside of Mariota, that is, and they could be good in a few years. But Mariota isn't the answer. We know that, but he's playing well right now. So good for the Falcons. One of the worst Sunday Night Football games I've ever watched in history.
I didn't watch it, thankfully.
The 49ers visiting the Broncos at Mile High lose 10-11. That is not a mistake.
And Jimmy Garoppolo pulls a Dan Orlovsky,
which ultimately cost them the game. Look at the score. You lose by 1 point. A safety loses you the game. Listen,
Trey Lance haters are awfully quiet this week. There was no explosiveness from the 49ers offense this week. The quarterback play was terrible. Now, granted, the Broncos do have a good defense, but stepping out of the back of the end zone as a veteran quarterback, what are you doing, Jimmy? But the fact of the matter is, the 49ers offense is going to be vanilla now. Granted, it got them to an NFC championship game last year. I look at that as a little bit of a fluke. They have no Elijah Mitchell, who's obviously more talented than Jeff Wilson. He's just injury prone. Deebo Samuel missed some time in that game, ended up going back out and playing, though. George Kittle, it's his first game back, so he's shaking off the rust some. This 49ers team, their offense is going to look like this for a little bit. It is what it is.
Well, during the preseason, they didn't give Jimmy G a playbook. They wasn't sure if they're going to trade him or not. So he didn't have.
This is an offense that he's been in last year, though. It's not like any heads changed.
I mean, you're talking 3 years he's been in this offence.
True, but
he's gone to a Super Bowl and an NFC Championship game.
You're right.
I want to bring up this comment. I don't want to cut you off too much. Tim Hawkins says it would have been a pick 6 if he didn't take the safety. I got news for you. That's more respectable than taking a safety.
Yeah,
because what happens is you give up 2 points on the safety and you give them the ball back.
Yep,
I'm pretty sure they scored on that drive. So
they did. They kicked a field goal. That's the game. Ultimately, that's what won them the game.
Yeah.
Timothy, continue. I'm sorry.
I lost my train of thought.
It happens when you're getting shit brain. For those of you who have never seen the show Big Mouth on Netflix, I highly recommend it. So, true story. The first time Timmy and I had ever seen that show, we were getting tattoos, matching tattoos.
Yeah,
it was on at the tattoo parlor.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
And we went home and binge watched it.
That's right, we did. Yeah.
I can't not binge watch that show. But anyway, let's get our show over with.
Sorry, yeah, we rambled on for a little bit longer than an hour, which isn't bad. So the Cowboys. Timmy predicted the Giants were going to win at home. Timmy was wrong.
Man, you're really putting an emphasis on Timmy being wrong, but I don't hear you talking about the predictions that we got wrong.
Hey, listen, I chose the Broncos. I was correct. You guys chose the 49ers. I chose the Falcons. Ryan, you chose the Falcons. Timmy, you chose the Seahawks. We all chose the Rams. Oh, I forgot to brag about how I took the Jaguars and you guys took the Chargers.
No, you didn't forget about it. Let's move on.
Anyway, so the Giants lose at home. They look exactly like the team I thought they were. To Ryan's point, the Cowboys defense is playing out of their minds right now. But other than one play, the Cowboys shut down Saquon Barkley. And when you do that, the Giants, what's the word you use? Vanilla? Very vanilla if you can shut down Saquon Barkley. Timmy.
See, I don't.
Yeah,
you're right.
Torn ACL.
Because I had Saquon Barkley playing in one fantasy league. I needed, 19 points out of him. And going in the fourth quarter, he needed 1 point, and he couldn't get it. So, yeah, you're right. The Cowboys stopped him. And I was pretty teed off about that.
Cooper Rush is playing some really good football. He has put some
Yes.
throws on CeeDee Lamb, and he has dropped them. I mean, CeeDee Lamb made the best and the worst catch of the night. Well, worst catch. He dropped a wide open pass, went right through his hand, and then he made the great catch in the back of the end zone there with one hand. But the Cooper Rush is playing some good football. And I still think Jerry Jones is real senile for talking about how Cooper Rush can take Dak Prescott's job with the contract and all that. But he's playing good football. Cowboys' backup quarterback spot is in good hands.
Yeah. I mean, listen. If I'm not mistaken, the Cowboys drafted Cooper Rush, so they saw something in him to begin with when they had Dak Prescott on the roster.
A UDFA.
I think he was a UDFA.
That's an undrafted free agent, for those of you that don't know.
No, that's not right. Yes, it is right. I'm sorry.
I mean, I know they cut all of them and signed them to a practice squad.
Cooper Rush was signed to a roster spot after being an undrafted free agent. There's no parts of me that believe he's better than Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
And you guys have heard me come on this show, and I've ripped Dak Prescott apart because I'm not a fan. But
You're not a fan of any of the Cowboys.
part of that is because he's on the Cowboys. If he were on another team, I'd probably respect the shit out of Dak Prescott. But, he plays for the Cowboys, so here we are. Cooper Rush.
Yeah, Cooper, he's an undrafted free agent.
Undrafted free agent. We got the Google telling us the truth here. And he's playing well. There was a pass at the end of the middle of the first half there where he literally dropped a dime to a wide open CeeDee Lamb, no contest, and Lamb just missed it.
And CeeDee Lamb is not looking like he's a number one receiver. You look back at that draft, and Cowboys fans were laughing at the Eagles because they drafted CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb is not. I would rather have Devonte Smith over CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb does not look like the receiver everybody wanted him to be coming out of college.
I would agree with that. Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Any more final notes on this game before we sign off?
Timmy and I will be on tomorrow. If you play fantasy, you better be there.
You might see me. You might not. Ryan's in my house. You'll probably see me.
Now you see me.
Nah, you don't.
But yeah, first and foremost, and I just want to get this out. Like I said, you can see the banner sort of in the background here. Our live show that was supposed to be on Thursday is now on Sunday, unless the brewery is open on Thursday, for those of you in the Central Florida area, at which point it will be Thursday at 7 p.m. If not, it's live Sunday at noon before the games. If we go into the first set of games, it's fine. We don't mind. We'll be there.
I don't mind. It was too much discredit from Bill. He kind of made a pain face when I said that. He said, dude, the Eagles play at 1.
The Eagles do play at 1.
Well, we can watch them and commentate it better than Joe Buck and Troy Aikman can.
I would also agree with that statement. Yeah. One of these days, the three of us will be together, and we will give you an even more epic show than the one we're giving you now. Timmy, we miss you. Seriously, I know we give you a hard time, but we miss you.
Miss you too, guys.
Yeah, we know. And outside of that, we're going to go with, thanks for joining us here on BSing Sports, where we do a little BS and we talk a whole lot of sports. Have a good night.